Houston Texans are coming off a dominant victory on Monday Night Football, and now they get to host their division rival, the Tennessee Titans in Houston. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Week 12 matchup between the Titans and Texans. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we can't believe that we're saying this is possible, but we have a goal of trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Thanks to all of the new members to the Tracy Take for making this possible. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. And Ryan, Texans coming off a dominant victory over the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be going up against the Tennessee Titans that are already looking forward to 2025 in the offseason, trading off DeAndre Hopkins, trading off a couple other pieces as well of their team. But that being said, though, they're coming off a loss to the Minnesota Vikings where Will Levis might have played one of his better games since, honestly, the first time that we saw him start, which was, ironically, against my Falcons in his first start. But 17 for 31, 295 passing yards, and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. That, to me, I think, when I watch the Titans play and when I'm watching this game, is what is Will Levis's development like? Because he's playing for his job right now. With the new regime coming in, they have no real allegiance to him. He's just a second-round pick. And with this, where they might end up falling, depending on if they're available, I think Shedeur Sanders would be I think he would like living in Nashville. I think a lot of players like living in Nashville in general. As I used to live in Nashville, it is a fun place to live, I will say. So that's what I think is going to be very fascinating as well. So having performances like this, especially too with the talent that is around him after trading away DeAndre Hopkins, is going to be huge. So this is going to be another big game for him against the Texans defense, which is one of the better ones in the league here. Throwing it over to you, what do you want to see out of the Tennessee Titans to potentially pull off the upset here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it. The development of Will Levis is definitely going to be the most important thing in this matchup. Just what does he look like? Can he establish a rhythm coming out of that game? That's not a great stat line, but it is definitely improvement from what he was putting on earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And if they can come out, they can hit some explosive plays. They can utilize Will Levis's athleticism and arm talent to get the ball out to their playmakers. I think that'll be good. Tony Pollard is having a really good season as well. I believe he leads the league in forced missed tackles at the moment, or no, it's yards after contact. Believe me if I'm wrong, but I believe he leads the league in yards after contact. So he's having a good year himself. This is a pretty good running team here in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And so I like what they have going there. I think this is a good offense. This is like a good situation, I think, for a young quarterback to come into. You think J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski on that left side. They have a few other guys on that offensive line that are playing pretty well. Brian Callahan, obviously coming from offensive line royalty. So I think this is a good situation for a young quarterback if Will Levis is not the guy. This is also a good defense. I do think that they might struggle against Houston. This offense, getting Nico Collins back last couple of weeks, has definitely been more explosive. And Tank Dell, good receiver there as well. Dalton Schultz, they get the ball all around. Joe Mixon is having a really good year. And so I think this is going to be a tough matchup, even though this is a good defense. But they're going to have to put up points. I think they're going to really have to put up points on the offensive side of the ball, because even with this good defense, the Texans are still going to put up points.
Well, and so that's one of the things too with the Texans, and I know they're coming off like a dominant victory, 34-10 over the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys are an absolute shell of what they could be. The Texans, they've dealt with some injuries on the offensive side of the ball, just in general. The offensive line has been somewhat of an issue. And then at the same time, too, now it's good having Nico Collins back. And then now you have Tank Dell, who is healthy. John Mechie is developing. And he's had a big impact over these past couple of games. Joe Mixon, I would say he had a pretty good performance on Monday Night Football. I think he only ran for 5,000 yards and 11 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. So I agree with you. The Texas offense is good, and they're getting healthier as well at the right time. But I do think this Tennessee Titans defense, though, statistically they're one of the better ones. When it comes to yards allowed, second in overall total yards allowed, first in passing yards allowed, 12th in rushing yards allowed. And this is even too. It's interesting when they say that because this is a Titans team that has been blown out a decent bit, and yet they're still able to put up some of these good performances defensively, not really giving up too many yards. So in this Texans team, we have seen them throughout the season falter a little bit at times against above average defenses, where they just for some reason stall out, struggle to move the ball down the field, and they had a good performance tonight. As I mentioned, in more serious stat numbers, you had Joe Mixon 20 carries, 109 yards. CJ Stroud 23 for 33, 3 touchdowns, 23 for 34 for 257 yards. No touchdowns and he had a pick, but Joe Mixon was running all over the field, so it didn't really matter. And so, to me, I feel like just kind of looking at it in general, I would be more confident with this offense moving forward if they had more performances like these. But if I go look at these past couple of performances, especially in the passing department, 192 team passing yards last week against Detroit, 135 against the Jets the week prior, and they lost those 2 games. 267 against the Colts as well, but 55 against Green Bay. And I will say, too, Green Bay, the Jets, and Detroit all have pretty solid defenses, at minimum pretty solid defenses, if not some of the best defenses in the league. So if you're going up against this Titans defense, who statistically, as I've said, can make it hard for teams to get yards, I'm going to be curious on how Houston attacks this Tennessee defense. I'm picking them, spoiler alert, I'm picking the Texans to win. I'm just talking about just causes for concerns when it comes to this Texas offense and how they can go and put up points. They are going to be the home team as well, which is going to be a huge advantage.
Yeah, and that to me, like, one of the big things I think the Titans have done really well is limit the big plays. They make teams methodically move the ball against them. And I think so CJ Stroud, in my opinion, maybe had a little bit of an off night on Monday night against the Cowboys. No touchdowns, decent completion percentage. Wasn't asked to do a whole lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
But there were some inaccurate balls. And so I think if he comes out and he has a good game, I think they'll be able to methodically move the ball down the field. And to me, where the difference is going to come when you get into that red zone, if you're going to convert those field goals into touchdowns, or because that's the 4-point difference there. And I think that would allow Tennessee to hang around for longer, potentially get an explosive play, and all of a sudden you're in a tight football game come the fourth quarter.
Well, and I think that's a great segue because I know I talked about just potential concerns to look out for this Houston Texans offense to go up against this Titans defense, which is good. On the flip side, though, I think it's going to be not even equally as hard, significantly harder for this Titans offense to move the ball down the field against this Texans defense, which D'Amico Ryan's got them playing at a very good level here. Texans defense, I would say they're pretty good. 3rd in overall total yards allowed, 3rd in passing yards allowed, 11th in rushing yards allowed, 7th in sacks at 29 sacks on the season. I will say too that actually is not. I have not updated the stats yet for this past game. They had 5 sacks. They have 34 sacks on the season, which I think would put them actually. Where did that put them at? So that would put them tied for 6th overall with the Los Angeles Chargers and the New York Jets on total sacks on the season. And on the flip side, too, the Tennessee Titans have given up 33 sacks on the year. So equally as many sacks. So everything I talked about with Will Levis's development, and then as well, too, with Texas need to make sure they have a good offensive game plan because it can be hard to move the ball against this Tennessee Titans defense. Equally can be said for this Will Levis-led offense. And this is going to be kind of one of those games going back. I guess this whole video is going full circle. Is if Will Levis wants to stay being the guy and get rid of any potential thoughts of the new regime in Tennessee, going with Shedeur Sanders, going with a Cam Ward, going with maybe a Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe, who would add a totally different dynamic level to this offense if you put Jalen Milroe in the backfield. You want to go and have a similar type of performance that what he did against the Minnesota Vikings, which also they have one of the top defenses statistically in the league as well, and go and put up 250 plus passing yards. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. It's going to be a fun game. As I already mentioned, I'm going with Houston.
I'm going with Houston. I just think they're the better team here. At home is going to be a big advantage against a division opponent. And I think it'll be close. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a 34-10 game like Monday night was against Dallas. I'm going to say 23-14. I just think it'll be like pretty low scoring, two good defenses kind of grinding it out. A lot of field goals, I think, on Houston's side of the ball, because I do feel like they'll be able to move it. It's just going to be if they can actually punch the ball into the end zone once they get down in that area. So, I think it'll be a close game, but I think Houston will be pretty controlling throughout.
Yeah. No. I believe so as well. I just think it's, in general, I think it's going to be tough for this Titans offense to move the ball against the Texans defense. Significantly harder than what might be for the Texans offense to move it against the Tennessee Titans defense.
Yeah. So Texans are definitely the more complete team coming into this matchup. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Tennessee Titans? Will it be the Houston Texans? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.